Man is not what he thinks he is. He is what he hides. Andre Malraux. There is a quiet war inside every human mind. A war not fought with weapons, but with illusions. Small, beautiful lies that keep us from collapsing under the weight of what we truly are. We think we know ourselves. We think our choices are guided by reason, by values, by clarity. But in truth, the human mind is a master of disguise. It hides the unbearable behind masks of virtue, pride, or purpose. And it calls those masks identity. Every morning, you wake up and tell yourself a story. You tell yourself that you are good, that you are right, that you are doing your best. And in that moment, without even realizing it, you begin to lie. Self-deception is not a sin. It is a form of protection, the mind's final defense against the terror of being fully conscious. The lie that saves us. The philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche once said, "We have art in order not to die of the truth." He wasn't talking about painting or poetry. He was talking about illusion itself, the art of deception, crafted not for others, but for ourselves. We lie because reality is too sharp, too unfiltered, too merciless. So we dull the edges. We soften the truth until it becomes bearable. We think we are kind when we are merely afraid of conflict. We tell ourselves we are honest while editing our memories to avoid guilt. We call it morality, but often it's just fear disguised as virtue. The masks we wear. Carl Jung called this the persona, the mask that allows us to live among others without collapsing. Without it, society would disintegrate. No one could face their shadow, their anger, envy, lust, or despair, and still smile in the daylight. So we build these masks and call them me. We become the worker, the lover, the friend, the thinker. We perform our roles so well that eventually we forget we were ever pretending. And yet, deep down, there is a silence that cannot be lied to. A small voice that whispers when the lights go out, "You are not who you think you are." That whisper is the truth trying to escape, the cost of ignoring it. The Danish philosopher Søren Kierkegaard called it the sickness unto death, the despair that comes from refusing to be what you truly are. He believed that most people never live. They only perform life, terrified of the abyss inside themselves. To look inward is to risk seeing a stranger, and so most people never do. They drown the silence with noise, work, entertainment, pleasure, anything to avoid that terrifying encounter with their real reflection. But the truth does not die just because we ignore it. It waits. And when the lies grow too heavy to carry, they collapse under their own weight. That collapse is what we call a breakdown, or depression, or crisis. But in reality, it is an awakening, the moment the soul rebels against its own fiction. The mirror of projection. When we cannot face our own darkness, we project it onto others. We hate in them what we cannot accept in ourselves. We condemn greed, yet crave wealth. We mock vanity, yet crave admiration. We despise deceit, yet live inside our own. Carl Jung called this the shadow, the side of the psyche that carries everything we refuse to acknowledge. To deny it is to walk blind. To integrate it is to become whole. But integration is painful. It means accepting that you are capable of cruelty, cowardice, and selfishness, and that you have been all three. The truth hurts before it heals. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." Yet even he struggled to live by those words. Because truth is not gentle. It wounds before it heals. The Stoics believed that freedom comes from seeing reality as it is, without illusion or desire. But few people are brave enough for that kind of freedom. Most prefer the comfort of their stories, the warmth of their excuses. We lie not because we are evil, but because we are fragile. Because consciousness, true awareness, burns like fire. The fiction we need. Even Dostoevsky, who spent his life dissecting the soul, admitted we are all something that we pretend to be. The human being cannot live without fiction. We are creatures of narrative, and the first story we tell is the one about ourselves. If we tore away all illusions at once, we would go mad. That is why the wise do not destroy their lies. They study them. They treat each illusion as a teacher, a mirror showing what the soul is not yet ready to face. Self-deception then is not an enemy. It is a fragile bridge between what we are and what we could become. The awakening. But there comes a time for those who seek truth, when the bridge must be crossed, when the comfort of the lie no longer satisfies and the silence becomes unbearable. That is when awakening begins. It is not sudden. It is slow, painful, and often humiliating. You begin to see your motives clearly. How you've twisted truth for approval, for comfort, for survival. And then something shifts. You stop blaming others. You stop defending yourself. You start observing. Each moment of self-awareness becomes a small death. But each death makes you lighter. When you finally face yourself without flinching, you discover something extraordinary. Beneath the layers of deceit, there is peace. Not happiness, but peace. The truth doesn't liberate by adding more light. It liberates by destroying illusion. It burns through false identities until nothing remains but the raw essence of being. That is why the path to wisdom feels like loss. You lose the person you thought you were. You lose your certainty, your moral superiority, your self-image. But what remains is real, silent, grounded, and incorruptible. And then you understand, to live without illusion is not to live without meaning. It is to find meaning in what is. The gentle acceptance. Self-deception will never disappear completely. Even the wise deceive themselves, only more proximum. They understand that illusion is not a prison, but a tool, one to be used, not worshipped. To know that you lied to yourself and still have compassion for that lie, that is true understanding. It is what separates wisdom from fanaticism, acceptance from denial. We all wear masks, but the difference lies in whether we know we're wearing them. The final reflection. When you catch yourself lying to yourself, pause. Do not shame it. Observe it gently. Ask, what truth am I not yet ready to face? Because even the lie has a purpose, even the illusion in its own way. is trying to protect something fragile, the part of you that still believes it's unworthy of truth. And perhaps that's the most human thing in all. Not the pursuit of truth, but the fragile dance between truth and illusion. Because to be human is not to be pure or consistent or enlightened. It is to live at the border between what is real and what must remain hidden. And to walk that border, eyes open, heart steady, is to finally see yourself. Not as good, not as evil, but simply real.